Ignore the change of scenery behind me. I'm dog sitting for a friend for the weekend, and I brought my, I like to call YouTuber traveler kit with me. Laptop, microphone, webcam, because you never know what could pop off and you gotta make a video. And clearly I needed it. Well, congratulations, James Gunn. You've done it. You've made me feel feelings for a Marvel movie. You're the only one to do that. I didn't even cry when Iron Man died in Endgame. I didn't feel shit, but I can gladly tell you that there were like at least 3 times during this movie that I almost cried, and I hate myself for it because I see it as a challenge upon myself to just not get emotional when watching a movie. And to my friends that watched me ugly cry during Logan, that doesn't count. I was wasted, and that was like my 5th time watching it, and that is the one and only time that happens, okay? That doesn't count. I can hear you typing it now, Hayden. Shut the fuck up. It's like I said, I try not to get emotional when watching movies, so when I was told, oh, Evan, Guardians Volume 3 is so emotional, I went, alright, challenge accepted. Well, after seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 today with 2 of my buddies, I can safely say that this is the best one in the entire trilogy. Guardians of the Galaxy now fits up there with the solid film trilogy collection, up there with such masterful trilogies as the Kung Fu Panda trilogy. I have a weird history with the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. I was dragged to see the first one by my mom, and I actually fell asleep during like the middle half of it. Not because it was a bad movie, I just stayed up the entire night playing Gary's Mod the prior day, so I was a sleepy boy, but I caught the rest of it in school like a year later. They didn't have anything better to do. And I actually didn't see the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 till like 2 weeks ago. I was here dog sitting and I watched it on Disney Plus. So yeah, when Thanos threw Gamora off of that cliff in Infinity War, it's like, well, that sucks, man. Tough shit. I thoroughly enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It is the hardest I have laughed at one of these MCU films, and that's when Drax gets hit with Yondu's arrow at the end of the movie. I really enjoyed those first 2 Guardians movies. I really like that this whole franchise just kind of feels self-contained. You know, besides the whole events of Infinity War and Endgame, like, I feel like you could watch the Guardians movies and just not care about the rest of the MCU. For the most part, minus that hiccup with Gamora and Thanos, but besides that, just, this is like a solid set of movies. But yeah, after seeing Guardians 3 earlier today, definitely best of the trilogy. It's probably one of my favorite Marvel movies. James Gunn really went all out on ending this trilogy on a high note. Yes, this is the last of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and I'm glad, because honestly, I don't think you could top this one. Everyone, by the end of the film, they get a nice bow wrapped up on their character arc. I really enjoyed how they handled the whole relationship with Gamora and Star-Lord in this, because Gamora, you know, she gets killed in Infinity War, gets brought back in Endgame, but it's technically not the same Gamora, so she doesn't have that connection with Peter Quill. I really enjoyed how they handled the whole, I don't want to say relationship because she doesn't feel feelings for him the same way he does her. I just really enjoyed how they handled how that whole relationship ended. I mean, these films have always heavily focused on Star-Lord, so I was expecting that dynamic to be a much bigger plot point than it actually ended up being. But man, they really went all out on Rocket in this movie. They go into his backstory, and man, it's emotional. They focused on what the High Evolutionary did to him. He's the main bad guy of this movie, and I can definitely say the villain of this movie, the High Evolutionary. Yeah, congratulations, you win. You are the most irredeemable piece of shit monster villain the MCU has had. Huge props to the guy that played him. Good job. Like, goddamn, end of the movie, you're just wanting them to just rip this motherfucker's head off. Look, I like animals. I have a soft spot for animals, so whenever, like, animal mutilation is, like, a big factor involving your villain, yeah, I'm gonna hate him. So, I don't know if that's, like, a cheap way of just making him an absolute monster is just by animal cruelty, but I don't care. And they did a good job with him. Because at least with somebody like Thanos, you could say Thanos thought he was doing what he was doing for the greater good, but like the High Evolutionary, you're just like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Another character besides Rocket Raccoon that the film won me over with was Nebula. Like, she is really funny in this movie, and it's just so weird seeing the contrast of how she was in Guardians 1 and how she's gotten to this point, and I love how the movie ends her character arc on how she just wants to start a real family. Because, you know, she had that whole terrible upbringing with Thanos. So good job, movie. Two characters you've won me over with that I didn't really pay too much attention with in other films. You know, like all the other Guardians of the Galaxy movies, compared to like the bigger scope of the MCU, the stakes are really low in these films. That's my favorite thing about them. And it plays pretty much the same way in this film until like maybe the third act where they're like on this planet of furries. Like, yeah, you heard that right. They end up on a planet of furries, but I'm not going to delve too much into like where that goes because the real meat and potatoes, the soul of the film is just the emotional connection with the characters. That's been the whole thing with these Guardians movies, and I mean that's why they stand out to me the most. It's not we got to go defeat the thing with the thing, it's the interaction with these characters. Like I said earlier, this is an emotional movie. It feels weird saying that for like movie 36 of the MCU. I'm like, yeah, this is a very emotional movie. I mean, this movie was just a roller coaster of me laughing in one scene, and then in the next scene I'm going, God damn it, James Gunn, do not make me cry in front of my friends. But then I hear them like right next to me, they're like sniffling and whatever, and so is the other random guy next to me. I'm like, okay, thank God it's not just me. I mean, like I said earlier, last Guardians movie, I'm glad it is because I really don't think you could top this. Like, the emotional stakes are just at an all-time high in this, and it ends on such a perfect note for these characters to where it's like, I don't need any more. I don't care. I mean, they hint that Star-Lord will return in whatever next big Avengers project will be. What is it, like Secret Wars or Kang? But I'm just kind of done and tapped with this, so I'm glad that I can say, okay, cool, I saw the Guardians trilogy, I'm done. Whatever happens from here on out, I don't care. I got what I needed from Guardians Volume 3. I mean, there's plenty of things I could say spoiler-wise, but I just don't want to. Like, you should really go watch this movie if you haven't. Like, if you have MCU fatigue like I do, and you're just thinking of whatever another Marvel movie, just go watch this movie. I honestly think this is one of the best Marvel movies. It's not my favorite, but it's like up there. Like if I had to pick 5, it would be in that. I actually might go see it again. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it a week though. It is a 2.5-hour long movie. I need to recharge, I guess, before I go and sit down in a theater again. Yeah, I apologize for like how sloppily this video is put together. I just woke up and I just wanted to make this video before the whole high of watching the movie wore off today, and I just didn't feel like talking about it the next day or whatever. Just wanted to get it out, wanted to get my general thoughts on the movie without delving too much into it. Just really solid movie. Go watch it if you haven't. I don't really rate movies on a scale anymore because you're just setting yourself up for arguments with people when you don't rate something as high compared to another film. But yeah, go watch Guardians 3. Really good movie. I'm gonna go watch the dogs like I'm supposed to be doing.